while we're waiting, I know we have your card, but can you just say and spell your names for us on the camera?
Certainly. It's Aaron McCarter, Air Safety Investigator with the National Transportation Safety Board. That's MC, capital C-A-R-T-E-R. Are we ready? Okay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the and Genesee County for National Transportation Safety Board. And Bell Helicopter. Our job is to investigate and determine the probable cause of this tragic accident. So I'm going to be on scene along with the rest of the team about 3 to 5 days. We're going to be documenting the wreckage, trying to remove any kind of volatile, non-volatile data off of the helicopter. And the on-scene portion is a very small part of a much larger holistic process. Most of the work being done by the investigative team happens behind the scenes when the on-scene portion is over. So, in 10 days, I will be completing the preliminary report. In approximately 12 months, the factual report, followed very shortly by the probable cause signed off by the Transportation Safety Board members. Today, what we're looking at the human, the machine, and the environment. Okay? The human being the 2 pilots who were involved, the helicopter, their overall experience. The machine, or the technical aspect, the engines, the performance, and the environment, of course, is the weather, air traffic control, and how all those 3 things interacted with each other. Who are going to be assisting with this investigation, including the structures, human performance, survival factors, flight data recorder specialist, and so forth. At about 11:15 a.m. local time, registration number November 507 Tango. The airport identifier is on board were 2 pilots, seasoned professionals. About 1300 or 1 p.m. local time, several credible witnesses observed the helicopter transitioning the area behind me over Elba, New York, at about 2,000 feet. Shortly thereafter, they observed and heard a loud boom. So we don't know which occurred first. The separated from the helicopter and was found 300 feet from the main wreckage. The main wreckage landed next to this road behind me about a half a mile. Okay, there was a very small post-crash fire that was quickly extinguished, and unfortunately both pilots were fatally injured. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to the family and friends of these 2 pilots. That being said, I will be that you all may have.
You spoke about witnesses. We did speak to a witness who said she saw it. She said it sounded like a car losing fuel. When it comes to mechanical issues,
well, again, we're going to be the wreckage is going to be transported to Clayton, Delaware, and it's as you know, to conducting a thorough on-scene investigation, about 6 inches deep. The wreckage is spread out over an area of about 2,000 feet from beginning to end, with the main portion of the wreckage intact, although severely damaged. So that wreckage is going to be transported back to this facility. 2-dimensional assembly of it on a hangar floor, and we'll be able to see how the helicopter, it can assist us in determining how the helicopter came apart and what happened first. Okay, now that being said, in terms of the way it sounded, I can't attest to what the witnesses said. I can only, write down what they said and try to do what that sound was by comparing all the witness statements. But we will be doing a thorough engine check. We're going to be checking the rotor blades. We're going to be checking the tail rotor, and we're going to be downloading data. Now, this helicopter doesn't have what's called a black box. You guys are all aware of what a black box is. It's not crash hardened. However, fortunately, the units on board, the data collection unit, we are hoping are intact. So we should be able, with the help of Pratt & Whitney, Bell Manufacturing, and our investigators back at headquarters, in downloading the, setting it off, be analyzed, and that question of what happened.
You touched on it a little bit, but what role?
Investigations. They are always a party to any kind of NTSB field investigation, and we have the local FSDO, the local FSDO office, which the FAA. We also have another FAA member who came from the Washington D.C. area, who was assisting. Bell Helicopters, of course, is the manufacturer. Now, as such, they are acting as experts in the helicopter. So I rely on them for their expertise, as well as Transport Canada. Because this aircraft was manufactured in Canada, we have to follow the guidelines of ICAO Annex 13. It's basically a multinational investigative effort. The NTSB runs the show here, but Transport Canada provides expertise on the Canadian side of the house, and therefore we have members of Bell Helicopter who are here as well.
When it comes to looking at the pilots, as you said, both seasoned, highly experienced.
Even though they are seasoned pilots, how much time they had in this particular helicopter. I mean, you guys, I'm not trying to equate aircraft with cars, but have you guys ever gotten to a car rental that was completely different than yours? It takes you a while to kind of figure out where all the buttons and how to maneuver. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at familiarity with the machine, how much experience they have in this particular machine, in addition to all the other aircraft that they've flown.
What does the training, is it a training flight? What does that mean? What were they doing in these training?
Well, training flights can mean any number of things, but this particular training flight, you know what? That would be that would be a guess right now. I don't have the full picture of what kind of training this entailed, so I need to get back to you on that.
Do you know who pilots?
Well, they're both pilots.
Okay, but who was piloting?
At the time of the accident, no.
Do you know the last time this helicopter was flown and if there was any issues reported with it?
No, I don't know that yet, but once we go through the maintenance and the flight logs, we'll have a really good idea. And that's going to be happening in the next day or two.
Have you had a chance to examine the flight plan at all, and were they off that flight plan when they?
I have had an opportunity to look at the ADSB data, which is data that comes from satellite along with ground stations and radar that shows the flight plot. It looks very typical of any kind of training flight. They spent probably about an hour over at the airport doing pattern work, means flying around the airport in very specific rectangles and patterns before they departed the airport pattern and headed out in this direction.
Do you know how much longer they plan to be on this training mission?
No clue.
And
No.
were they going back to the airport?
Unknown. Okay, I have time for one more question. Maybe two more questions, that's it.
This is just clarification again. What was the altitude you think they were at? Things started to go.
ADSB data shows that it was at 2,000 feet, and the witnesses also provided a very good estimate of how far it was off. One more question.
Is it unusual for a helicopter to break apart like that?
No, but again, the crash dynamics are very complicated. Aerodynamic forces, things of that nature. So we're going to be looking very closely at, what could possibly happen. The helicopter has a lot of parts. Okay. All right. One more question.
How does the helicopter react when it loses its tail rotor?
Well, it loses directional authority. The tail rotor is what keeps the helicopter's nose pointed in the correct direction, because of course the torque, when the rotor blades are spinning around, the helicopter fuselage wants to spin in the opposite direction, if you remember your high school physics. So the tail rotor actually keeps the helicopter's nose pointed in a specific direction, and you use the rudder pedals to point the nose in a specific direction depending on where you want to go. Okay? Thank you very much.